All right, so I'm going to be doing a demonstration on how to jack up a car and using the tools and um, taking a tire off the car, and then I'm going to show you how to, we'll do another quick brake inspection probably, and we will as well um, show you how to torque the wheels, okay? So I've got a number of tools here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and take my wheel blocks here. I'm going to jack up the front of the car and get this tire off up here. So I'm going to go ahead and uh, block these wheels in the back with a wheel block in the front and in the back. And that's to keep the car from moving back and forward as I jack it up. I'm going to go underneath and use my knee pad to go ahead and kneel on the ground and find a good place for my jack stand. So we're never going to get under a car unless we have wheel blocks on the tires, parking brake set, the car's in park, and we've got the car on a jack stand. We're never going underneath and taking the tire off and getting under there without the car on this. The jack itself over here has a hydraulic ram down here, and those two little hydraulic rams can fail, and they do fail from time to time. So what I'm going to do is put the camera down here underneath the car, and I'm going to show you where the floor jack's going to come in, and I'm going to position it underneath there to underneath here. So before I do that, I just want to show you that in order to operate the floor jack to go up, I got to turn the handle all the way clockwise and then articulate like that. You can see it going up, and then to loosen it, I just go like this, or to bring it down, I loosen it, and there it goes going down. So I'm going to tighten it back up so we can go up. I'm going to put that back underneath there so you can see the frame where we're going to jack this guy up right there. Get this guy off the ground. Okay, so now I've got the floor jack underneath there. And I've got the tire off the ground. So now I've got to take this jack stand and place it underneath the frame. And I will go ahead and put the camera right there. I'll go ahead and put this jack stand right now. This jack stand's not tall enough, so I'm going to go get a larger jack stand. Pause the video for a moment. Okay, so I've got this larger jack stand that I'm going to place over here on the frame. Just put the camera down there so everybody can see what I'm doing. And put this guy underneath the frame. Right there. Bring it right up to the frame. Now, I'm going to go up a little higher so I can get the jack stand on the next rung. There it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring the jack handle down by slowly going down here. And I'm going to tighten it there. So what I did was I brought the frame down on the jack stand. That's holding the car. I'm going to leave this here for double coverage. And the tire is on the ground. So now I'm going to bring this back like that. And we'll talk about taking this tire off. Let me move this a little more like this so you can see it there. I'm going to take this curved awl. I just popped off that cap right there. And I've got two tools I'm going to use. The first one I'm going to use is an air impact gun. And with this air impact gun, what I've got to do is pull this collar back, push it in, release the collar, it locks on. What it is there are ball bearings in there that get released and get applied when I let go of the collar. Those ball bearings fit into this groove here and lock it on. So now it's locked on. I notice the air pressure is low, I got to turn the compressor on. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this wheel off with this impact gun. Safety glasses are on. I've got an black impact extension that goes on here, and I got a reversible metric 19 millimeter, either a 19 millimeter or 21 millimeter socket. The little knurling on here shows me that this is a metric tool, and so it's a 21 millimeter. Make sure my gun's in the reverse direction. Take these acorn nuts off. Okay, and then I'm going to slide this off, and I'm not going to, I'm going to be careful not to grab it with my back and hurt it. So there's the rotor there, and as I'm looking at this thing, giving it a little bit of inspection while I'm here. The shocks look a little on the old side, but I'm not seeing anything torn or worn out. The brakes back there. We'll get our brake measurement tool. Sorry about that. Just kicked the camera with my foot. Okay, so I'll get my brake measurement tool. And I think you can see the brake pad. So I'll put my gauge in there so you can see it. And it's coming up right at about, in the yellow, the largest yellow, about 6 millimeter. It's just a hair loose, so maybe 7 millimeters. So if I put the camera in here and I put my gauge right there, that's the pad thickness, about 7, a little over 6 millimeter, maybe 7 millimeter. The smallest one here is 8, and that's too big. So that pad thickness there and there is about 7 millimeters. The rotor's not particularly grooved. It looks like it's in pretty decent shape. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this tire back on, show you how to do that properly, and then show you how to torque it. We'll get this tire back up here, and we'll lift it carefully so we don't hurt our back. And we'll get it back in there. And then these acorn style nuts, I'm going to lift my camera up a little bit. These acorn style nuts, the coned end like this goes in. The flat end here goes out. So I'll put the coned end in like that. Start that guy on. Start this guy on. And let me pause for just a second. So I want to show you two chemicals here. The white lithium grease I've got on a brush, and this is anti-seize. And some people will take, when they're putting wheel lugs on, I was taught this when I worked back at Matt's Brake and Alignment way back in the day. Just touch some of that on the threads, and it just keeps the threads lubed up. And you can use anti-seize. And it just keeps the threads lubed up so these nuts hopefully never strip. So I'm going to go ahead and put these acorn nuts on with the 45-degree coned end facing in, because that's what centers this hole around this stud. And so let me pull that over here. We'll just get all these started. And we'll go ahead and take our gun, flip the switch right here, and that takes us to the tightening direction. We're going to just tighten them up a little bit at a time in a star pattern so it seats the wheel properly. Okay, now you notice I didn't lay into it because that gun can way over torque these. So what I'm going to do now is, these are snug, I'm going to go ahead and jack up the jack, pull out the jack stand, set it on the ground, and we're going to torque that wheel. So I'm going to go up a little bit, and I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate the jack handle like this, and you'll see that car slowly coming down. And then I'll pull the jack out there. I'm going to turn this around and show you how to torque the wheels. So I'm going to take my torque wrench, and I'm going to set my torque wrench here to 83 foot-pounds. And there's a chart outside the office, and that's 83 foot-pounds. And I don't know how well you can read that, but there's the 80, and it's at the 3 right there. Hopefully you can see that. But 83 foot-pounds is what the chart says. And so what we're going to do is we'll take the torque wrench, put it on for tightening. Now, here's the key. First, we're going to torque with this at a horizontal, so I can just push down with my weight and not hurt my back trying to pull it down or something. Second, this thing's going to click when it gets to the torque. I want this thing to spin before it clicks. If it clicks without spinning, it's over torqued and I need to back them off. So let's try it. So this one's turning, and then it clicks. So that one was not over torqued. Notice I'm going in a star pattern like that. So here we go. The second one, it moves and then it clicks. The third one moves and then it clicks. Fourth one moves and then it clicks. Fifth one moves and then it clicks. Sixth one moves. So that means if I've torqued these till it clicks at 83, these are all at exactly 83 pounds. Now I'll go through clockwise, double checking so I sleep tonight in a circle pattern to make sure I don't forget a bolt. We can all agree that I've torqued all of these bolts twice and that one 3 times. Now I'm going to take my little hubcap, and I'm going to see how it pops on like that. Looks like it goes like that. Yeah. Hope I got it right. Nope. Actually, it's not a good idea. Okay, I got a little tab here that's bent. So this one's bent. So I'm going to need to make sure I get that thing taken care of. Also, I'm going to straighten that out with a pair of pliers right there. And then I was about to use my hand. Don't use your hand. We have a hubcap hammer that will knock these on. Let me pause it, and I'll go get the tool to show it to you. So this is the hubcap tool that's used for pulling hubcaps off on this end, pounding them on with that end. If you keep using your hand over a lot of years, you'll end up getting arthritis. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch our situation here. I'm going to go ahead and change to the back wheel. So let me pause for a moment. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the wheel blocks and block the front wheel. And this is important because in order to get the front wheel blocked so you can see it over there, just block that one so it can't move. And the reason why I did that is because we're going to go ahead and look at the back brakes here. And I have to take the emergency brake off to be able to get this drum off to be able to inspect. So what we like to do when we jack up the rear of a car, especially if it's rear-wheel drive, is we like to go straight in underneath and jack up on the differential. So let me show you how I do that. I'm going to drag my wheel here and go right underneath the differential. Totally acceptable differential, plenty strong. It's going to lift up both sides of the car at once, so both tires are now off the ground. And I'm going to put a jack stand underneath there. on the tube. Put a jack stand right there on the tube of the differential. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and let it down till it just touches. So there it's touching. And I'll leave the floor jack for safety. So remember, we're never going to get underneath a car that has just a floor jack. We're always and only going to get under a car if it has a floor jack and a jack stand. Now what I'm going to do is show you another tool, and that is, this is a battery operated impact gun. So here we go. Not quite as fast as the other. And I don't like it as much. Students like it. But the reason why I don't like it is because it's actually quite a bit heavier than the other gun. And the problem with that is that just over time it gets tiring, believe it or not. I want you to notice also that this tire did not have a tire valve cap on it. And it's important that we keep a tire valve cap on that so that we don't lose air out of the valve. Believe it or not, they will leak air out. Okay, so I'm going to set that tire down. We've got to remove this drum, so I've got to go turn off the emergency brake. Let me do that. So it's really important to understand that when you take that emergency brake off, what's holding the car forward and backward is that those wheel blocks. And remember, I got those wheel blocks up there on that tire. Okay. So now, in order to get this drum off to inspect the brakes, I'm going to have to smack it usually. So I take this plastic deadbolt, just hit it like that, and it's already knocked it loose. You can see that dust. It is no longer asbestos, so it's not so unsafe to breathe, but it's not good to breathe. I'm going to go ahead and knock this again. Try and get this guy to come off. Okay. He's trying to come off. So if the drum doesn't want to come off so easily, and this one's loose, but it's not coming off, there's two things you got to do. One, they put an 8x125 threaded hole there. We screw in 2 bolts and it should suck it off. If it still doesn't want to come off, we have to go inside and back off the brake adjustment. I'm going to show you these bolts. Let me go grab them. So here we go. I have a 2 8x125 bolts that I'm going to thread in here. Straight, careful. That one started. Thread this one in here. Straight, careful. And I've got a 3/8 ratchet with a 6-inch extension. It's 3/8 because if you take a tape measure and measure across the square, it's 3/8 of an inch. You'll notice that you'll almost never see Mr. L grab a ratchet and put a socket on it. He almost always grabs a ratchet with an extension and puts a socket. Why? Because it gets my hands away so I don't skin my knuckles, because the thrill of skinning my knuckles is just over. It's just like 30 years of skinning your knuckles, you get tired of it. So you'll always see me with an extension. Okay, so it looks like the drum is coming off, so it probably won't. So it's just pushing it off. Hope you can see it's just pushing the drum out as we go, and I think it's coming off just fine. Let's see if it'll pull off. I can't pull it off yet, but it is coming right out. So it's kind of tight on here. And so let me just keep going here. There, it kind of popped. Now obviously the brakes were kind of hanging on, and they released. So let me show you what we got here. Still trying to get it off. Come on. Come on. Okay, so I'm still struggling a little bit, but I can see that the brakes are released. So let me pause the video and fight with this a little bit. Okay, I just had to kind of grab it and fight with it a little bit. What you're going to notice is down here in the drum, look at all this black dust right here, and all that dust. You can see a bunch of it fell out on the ground. Let me dump this drum over. And there's all that brake dust there. And that's just off the linings here. Now when I look at this lining, this one's pretty new here. Going up there, it's a little worn at the top. This one is a little more worn on the front shoe. This is what we call a leading trailing design. It has a fixed point there. There's the wheel cylinder where fluid comes in and pushes these out here and here. But these are, believe it or not, those are fine. Yes, that's like brand new there. This is a bit worn here, but it's still fine. Those brakes have some life left. We're going to say at least 50%. These will wear out, the fronts will wear out 4 times before you have to replace these, usually 3 to 4 times. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put this drum back on. So they still got, I'm going to say close to 50% of their life left. I'm going to take these bolts off and unthread this. We keep these in the shop just for this purpose. It's real common to have to need them. It's really, really normal. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this drum back on. You just got to kind of get it lined up on there, and sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate so well. So I'm going to try and just sort of tap it on there. And again, I'm having to fight a little bit. There it goes. So that was kind of a tight fit. Okay, now I'm going to set my tools aside and let's get my tire back over here and get it on. Again, I'm going to be real careful lifting this tire up so that I don't hurt my back. Okay. And sometimes what I'll do is sit down and use my legs to pick it up and get it on there, because that does not hurt my back at all. I'm going to get some white lithium grease on there to keep those bolts from sort of welding themselves together. We get a little bit of lubricant on there. And most technicians don't do this anymore, but it's a really good habit to be in. To put some anti-seize or some white lithium. I'm going to put these down, and then I'll run these in a star pattern with that battery operated impact. Okay, here I go, and I push my guy here in. Okay. That was a little bit tight there. Okay, now I'm going to put this down by, first I'm going to go over here and lift up the jack. Then I'm going to reach in and pull that jack stand out. Okay, got to go up higher. And go in here and lift up this handle. Come out and let the floor jack down. And then for safety, I'm going to go ahead and put my e-brake back on, and then we'll torque that wheel. So I'm setting the e-brake. E-brake is back on. Grab my torque wrench with the socket and the extension. And it's turning before it clicks. I'm going in a star pattern, albeit a reverse star pattern, but a star pattern. And they're all turning before they click, so that's a good sign. Now going clockwise in a circle, double checking. Okay, and they're good to go. This one did not have a cap. We need to get a valve stem cover, and that's it for now.